Hello, hello.
Hey, Vibe. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing really good. How you doing, man?
Not bad, not bad. It's just really cold.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I love the cold though. I'm in Vegas now, and it's always hot for me. So
Oh
getting
yeah, it's smoking over there.
yeah, getting to experience some cold is always so nice.
Yeah, like
Um,
yeah, I like the cold too, but it's just a pain when it's just wet and cold. I like snow, I just don't like rain cold.
I'm like backwards. I hate snow, but I
Oh,
like
you
I
hate
like
snow?
it's okay as long as you're not driving in it. It's not that bad. It's actually fun if you're not driving in it. But whenever you have to
You
drive
have
in
to go
it,
see family in Colorado?
yeah, it did snow once while I was there, but I didn't have to drive
No
anywhere.
skiing for you?
No, I used to. My family used to ski when I was like a teenager, but haven't done.
Uh-huh.
I actually have not gone skiing or snowboarding since I was like 23 years old or 24, and I'm 36, so I haven't done that in
Oh
a very
wow.
long time. Uh, but because I probably would say I probably live like an hour away from the mountains, so it's a bit. It's like a bit of a
Oh, it's not close.
yeah. I live in like the suburbs away from the mountains, but I can still see them. But it's really nice
Do you
though.
hate the snow? Do you hate the snow because you've had to shovel so much of it throughout your
Yeah,
life?
no, like my experiences with snow when I was a kid was literally waking up at like 6:45 in the morning to like go
Oh,
to school, and then I have to be there by like
that's
7:45, and
horrible.
I have to spend 30 minutes of that literally warming my car up and scraping my windows,
Oh my
and then
god,
when you
yeah.
drive, it's like fucking you have to drive like careful because you're like slipping around the road and
It's
shit.
so
Yeah,
true.
like the scariest one I ever had was I was in an intersection, like right in front of my school. It's a four-way light, and I was like
Oh,
trying to
that
go
feels
real
good.
slow, like taking a left turn into my school campus area, and my car literally did like a fucking 360 in the middle of the intersection, and I was going like 8 miles an hour. I was like, all right,
That's
I literally,
terrifying.
yeah, I was like backwards, and it's like now it's like no longer a green left, now it's just a green light, so cars are coming oncoming traffic, and I'm trying to like reverse out of the intersection. I'm like, this is so fucked up.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
Were you with a friend or were you alone?
I was alone that day, it was fine.
I would
I
have shit
yeah.
myself. I would have shit myself.
I got it all figured out.
Oh
But
my
it
god.
made me overall be like, I fucking hate snow. It's the least fun thing to drive in.
Yeah, I like skiing. I like skiing, but I hate cleaning it. I hate everything to do with just cleaning it.
Yeah, the skiing is
It's the
fun.
worst thing ever.
I agree. I had a really good time skiing and snowboarding when I was younger, so it was a good time. But anyways, without further ado, uh, this time everything should be good. I have a new computer today. It's gonna be great.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I bought myself a new computer. I got here at the start of December, so I've had it for
Oh
like 2 weeks now.
yeah.
Like from the ground up you built it?
Pre-built, same
Pre-built.
concept, but I'm too lazy to do it myself.
I know, I totally feel you. I
Yeah.
totally feel you. It's a
I'm
pain.
like, fuck that,
I would
dude.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
I was looking at NZXT pre-builts.
Oh yeah. I just did a iBuyPower, and if you look at the stream chat, you could see. I don't know if you're really like familiar with PC stuff, but my
Love PC
PC.
stuff.
Okay, so my PC, I just linked it in chat. If you are you in my chat right now on Twitch?
Yeah, where? Let's see. Yep, I'm in your chat.
Okay, so the thing I just linked right there where Nightbot says Windows 11 Pro, Intel Core i9. That whole PC is what I just bought, and I ended up getting it for just over 3K. It was like 33.
Wow, this thing's a beast.
Yeah, it was on a
And they
deal.
built they built it for you?
Yeah, I literally bought it. I bought the PC and I got it shipped out to me like within 5 days.
Oh geez, you got a 4090.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an upgrade from my last PC, and
Do you use two PCs, one for the game itself and
I
one for
used
the
to.
stream?
I used to when I was in
Yeah.
Colorado, but I haven't done that since I moved to Vegas. Since I've been in Vegas, I've just been on the one PC that I was using before, which was always my gaming PC ever since I had it,
Mm.
and then my older PC that's still back in Colorado was like my streaming PC that just did the process for that. But I couldn't bring both with me because my car is not big enough, and I already was like full to the brim of everything else I had to bring.
Oh,
And
it's so sad. So you have to let go of a PC.
yeah, because I was like, I have like essentials that I can't really get rid of, and I'm bringing my whole life in my car, and I'm driving 12 hours to Vegas. So I decided to leave that one because I was gonna try a single PC setup, and I knew while I was out here 100% I was gonna have to buy a new PC anyways. And my assumption was, whenever I do that, I'll just turn my current PC that I came here with into my streaming PC if I still want to do that, because it actually is more powerful than my old PC. Like my last PC was overall still pretty good. I can't remember everything that was inside of it, but it was like it was an i7 with a 2080 Ti and other shit. I'm really bad with computers, but you know, like my old one, my old one was like looking a bit worse. So I was like, I'll just need to turn my, if I still want to do a streaming PC, a dual setup, I can still do that. But with the current PCs I have here now, but I don't even have like a capture card or anything like that, so I still gotta figure other shit out.
It's really impressive how you're able to figure out the logistics of the move with your PCs and think like that. I would not be able to do that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm like a minimalist, so when I say my car was packed with my essentials, it was literally like everything that I had.
Jeez, you could fit your life into one car. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
like well, aside from like, you know, my bed frame and you know, so like my old, like I think I left a few things back in Colorado, like my TV, my bed, some of my other furniture, like a dresser and stuff. Like I literally just could not fit that stuff. But
I couldn't even fit my chair when I moved.
yeah, no,
I don't know how to fit a chair into
I
a car.
broke down my entire stream setup aside from the dual PC setup and the stream lighting, and I brought everything else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, it's been cool. It's all been working out. But are you ready to talk about some Starcraft?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That was some like real life RTS right there.
Yep. All right. So I'm now once again streaming the video on Discord, so you should be able to see it again. And
Yep.
just to make 100% sure,
Great.
this is what fucked my stream up last time. I looked at the VOD, and as soon as I turned this on, it like fucked my stream. And it was my old PC. My old PC was running like shit. I just want to make sure my stream is... Huh?
Was it a plugin?
Oh, I have no idea, but I've never had that problem before. Like, this is the first time I've ever had that problem. It was fucking weird. So now I'm just going to make sure my VOD... This isn't big, and probably shouldn't have it again because I'm on a different PC entirely, and this isn't big, and probably no idea what's going on with the last one. And I'm looking at the VOD right... Or not the VOD, sorry, but I'm looking at my stream right now live, and it's running great, so... Should be good. Shouldn't be lagging at all. Everything should be wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about this. So, you are Mr. Fuzzy. And I don't know what to expect here, but it's totally fine. I'm kind of expecting it all in because it's only a 7-minute game. And we'll see how it goes. But before I start, do you have anything you want to preface with? Anything you want to ask? Or should I just get the shit going?
So ZvZs really throw me off.
Okay.
So I go for the standard B2GM build, 16 hatch, 18 pool, 20 gas.
Okay.
And
so
that, and secondly, just Overlord placements.
Okay.
When it comes to cliffs, which is outside of ZvZ, I always end up dying all the time.
Okay. So one of the big things I'll probably reference this game. I can already, because like you're doing B2GM style and you're doing it in ZvZ, and it's a game that's only 7 minutes long. And MMR, I'm gonna guess here, but if I remember correctly, your MMR is like in the 3K range. Is that correct or incorrect?
I'm a platinum 2.
Okay, so what we're gonna probably talk about a lot here is a little bit of Tetris. I imagine we'll reference this at some point, but really knowing how to build your buildings when you're doing this build is a very important thing, and knowing how to build them in crisis moments is a very big thing. I'm not going to go crazy and do it right now because we haven't even gotten there yet, but if that ends up being the case, I feel like that's going to be the case. That's something we'll definitely reference.
Yes. That and how to navigate through panic, because I just always end up panicking.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, if you have an idea and you know what you're supposed to do, panic is nowhere near as scary, right? You're like, oh, well, if you know, I have a plan. I need to execute that plan, and then you do the plan. You're like, oh, it worked, so great. No need to panic anymore. So we'll see what's going on with your gameplay. But yeah, as always, you know how it works from last time. Just feel free to interrupt me at any time if you have any questions you want to ask really quick, and just so you can be informed as to what's going on. Actually, I'm gonna turn this off. I don't want to see his stuff. Okay, so first things first, you're doing great. Nice Overlord movement. Pathing wise, I like the direction of it. As always, a good general way to send Overlord out is the way I always do it is you always go towards the ramp. It's between main and natural, so you have a good read of the whole base. It also gives you a good read on scouting Zerglings that just cross the map exactly on most maps. So good shit there. We'll be referencing time very soon in a moment here. But your hatchery is good. Your droning is good. You're stacking your close mineral patches as well. They all have 2. That is very good. This is Platinum 2 at the moment for stream, who's wondering. It's going to be like Platinum and Diamond because I'm going to obviously give information that goes above platinum a little bit to have something to work into as well. But everything is great for the time being. If you want a tip, a quick tip, I think one thing you should do in the future, this again goes to everybody, if you put your spawning pool 1 pixel or like 1 grid spot to the left, that would have been super good. And the reason why that is because if your spawning pool is against a hatchery like this, where it's like corner to corner, this does not block anything, okay? Like zerglings and shit can just straight up run through that because hatcheries are kind of weird. And basically the concept is you need to have 2 grid spots, not just 1, but you need 2 grid spots to overlap to have a wall. And a hatchery is weird because it's 5 by 5 and it doesn't look like it because it's in a circle, but the hatchery literally is like that actually. It's everything is in square grids in this game, so a hatchery is actually like that. So your spawning pool is only covering, if you see the edge of the spawning pool right here, like if I go down further, you can see the yellow circle spawn over, you know, the outside of the spawning pool as well. And that's just not actually a it's not a 2 by 2 overlap, it's a 1 by 1 because a spawning pool is only 3 by 3. And if you were to kind of cut a spawning pool up into like, you know, grid spots, this is definitely only 1/3 of the pool here. It's not beyond half because a hatchery a spawning pool is either 1/3, 2/3, or full. So when you only have 1/3 of it like that covering the hatchery, it just means that nothing can block. So what I'm going to recommend to you is instead put a spawning pool like against your gas. And the reason why that's really good is because if you put a spawning pool there, like you know, like right here against your gas, kind of where it is now, but just 1 to the left. Why that's good is because if you get rushed by someone with going mass zerglings or something like that, you can park your queen in between the spawning pool and the hatchery right there. And it won't be able to be surrounded on the left, and it won't be able to be surrounded on the right because it creates a blockade for zerglings on the right side. So only like 2 at a time can hit your queen. And if the zerglings ever run up and around into your mineral line to go to your queen on the other side, or if they ever go around this way on the left of the gas and through the mineral patch, again, your drones can help. So you could literally have your drones get on the zerglings really, really effectively. And a really cool way you can do that.
Are you saying the queen is wedged in between the spawning pool and the hatchery?
Yes. So essentially, let me give you an example, okay? I'll explain the rest of it really quick. It won't take very long, and then I'll give you 2 ideas to how the drones would move. Also, Rob, thank you very much for the 85-month resub. I appreciate you. So the way it would work is your queen would be standing in the green box where it is right now if your spawning pool was 1 to the left. And if zerglings were to attack you and they were like flooding into your main base and they got in, let's say something bad happened to the natural and they just went straight up, or he rushed you really fast and they were like in your main now, your queen could be standing where the green box is or where that little like triple claw animation is. That's like, you know, the animation of the graphic of the hatchery here on the outside of it. Queen stands there, and what you can do with your drones is you could literally have your gas be this bottom gas. You could take your drones and you could right click the gas with all your drones if you needed to. If this was like a mega all in with like mass lings, you could then tell your drones to right click, like this might be, again, this is where it gets a little advanced, but you'll get what I mean in a second. You could tell your drones then, after they mine the gas, to mine this right here. Because what'll happen is, like this patch over here, because what'll happen is your drones will all stack up like right there, okay? And if you tell your drones to mine one of these patches, there's a good chance they're going to go to the left and down. But if you tell your drones to mine one of these patches, there's a good chance they're going to go to the right. Like they're going to squeeze through, go to the right, go through the queen. They're going to like mineral walk through the fucking queen. And if you do that in a way where like the lings are all right here bottled up in front of the queen, and then your drones get through that and get to like right there as well, and then you would tell your drones to attack the ground, they will like fan out and start killing a bunch of lings to protect your queen, and it's way stronger defensively. Like, and all that requires is you to put your pool 1 to the left and park your queen between your pool and your hatchery, in case this guy lands you in your main base. And like just one little building placement difference, and suddenly your defense is like 10 times stronger. Because with the way it is right now, zerglings can come in the left, they can come in the right, they can go on the top, they can go on the left. Your queen can get surrounded, even though you have buildings there. The only way you can protect your queen now is if you put your queen right there, between the mineral patch and the gas. And even then, that's not a great defense because they can get surrounded on both sides. But it's still better than
function of. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, are you asking like why is this relevant? Is that what you're asking right now?
Oh, no, no, no. I was gonna ask, why do we click the gas first before we click the mineral patch?
Because it stacks your drones up. So
Oh, it puts them together.
yeah,
Got it,
if you
got it.
don't do that, if then your drones will come out in like a massively spread out formation. So like your drones will be like way over here while also passing the queen right there. It'll be a long line,
Okay.
and that'll be way weaker to zerglings because they'll just like attack you in a concave, and drones will lose to zerglings in a concave. But if your drones are stacked and then they go through the queen and then they're all like right there in front of the queen as you attack, you can like pick off a zergling or two zerglings and then immediately right after right click a mineral patch again in your main base and go through the queen again and then do it again.
Oh, okay.
Like
so
you
it's
could
back
you,
and forth, back
you can
and
literally
forth.
just keep keeping your drones stacked up and mineral walking through your queen and just like having your drones all stack damage on like a zergling. And I'm not saying you need to do this every game. I'm just saying that is something you can do if like your first line of defense at your natural fails. And now your second line of defense is your main and you're like, fuck, now it's plan B, but at least you have a strong plan B in case things go bad. Because the way it is right now is again with this pool placement, that plan is completely void now. You can't even do that because you have multiple openings for zerglings to like approach your mineral line. And that's not ideal for you. Another thing that's cool to do is if your opponent's not really paying attention, you'll like choke up banelings this way too. Like because if someone tells their banelings go to the middle of the mineral line, as a baneling is going to do that in like the closest SimCity wise way to enter that, which means they're going to walk into the queen, and they'll get stuck. They will not go around it. They will get stuck unless he physically says go around it. But if like a baneling is told go to like this location where the green box is now in the middle of your mineral line, it will attempt to do that in the shortest path possible. So it will walk up the ramp and it will walk directly at your hatchery at it because this is not actually a wall. Because a unit doesn't create a wall like for the AI to deal with. It's a building that creates a wall for the AI to deal with. So if a unit is standing like a queen inside the middle of the buildings, it's not actually going to register as a wall. So the baneling will try to walk there. But if you actually built like two buildings here and actually walled it off, and let's say you built another building right there on the left side of the gas, and that was a genuine full wall, a unit's AI would then say, okay, I'm going to go in the ramp, and then I'm going to go to the right over here, and then I'm going to go left from the right side of the hatchery. Because you built a fucking wall there for real. Like that's how that would work. So you can create weird situations for AI to get stupid, and when a lot of people are all inning you and like doing a lot of crazy shit, and they're like, banelings, go in the middle line, go back, inject larva, look at my zerglings in the middle of the map, make more banelings. Like they're just doing all this aggressive shit. It just creates chances and opportunities for you to use the AI to your advantage. You could literally be AFK with the whole position queen, and it could solve the problem for you.
Okay. And if I were to put that spawning pool one pixel up, does that make the pathing line from the gas?
Yeah, you would not want to. So if you did it one up, you wouldn't be able to build it where it is now because it would be stuck in the hatchery. So you'd have to go left. Yeah, you'd have to go left and then one up as well. And if you do one up and the pool is like flush with the hatchery left to right, or sorry, the pool is flush with the gas from left to right, you're gonna make the drone's mind a little bit fucked up. And also, you're then gonna make it harder for the queen to be in a spot that would actually it would be a tighter. It would be like a one zergling at a time kind of a block, but it would be such a tight block though that like zerglings might flood it and like the AI might run around in circles around there, and it's not like enough of a gap to hold it that they might start running around the gas on the left. They might start running around their hatchery on the right by just automated. But if you have the pool down a little bit more, one where it is now, but just one to the left, it's enough of a gap to where the queen can still block it, but like fully herself. But like it's like a pocket where lings get caught in because it's not like flush with the hatchery or like flush with the gas. It's like it creates like a canal for them to like get corralled in. So you're doing a great job where you built it like in terms of the vertical side, but the horizontal side just needs to be one to the left.
Horizontal axis, got it.
Yeah. So, but like, otherwise, that's like a very niche thing. Definitely advanced, but it's something I think you should know because if you ever get like really really quickly attacked and like you get 12 pooled for instance, and your opponent decides to not attack your hatchery and they just go straight into the main base, it'd be a great tool to have for your main base to understand how to do things like that and how to stack your drones, and if you understand mineral drill attacking with drones and stuff. Does that make sense too? Really quickly, like does stacking drones make sense to you, or do you not? Should I explain that a little bit?
Oh, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
You click the gas, they all get on top of each other, and then you click the mineral,
Yeah.
and then they all move as one unit. A click on top of the zerglings, and they fan out and attack.
Exactly.
Surface area.
Yeah, and then and like a drone can attack while being on top of another drone. So you have like however many drones you have, that will like multiply the damage times that many drones. It's not like they have to like spread out in their own spot to then be able to attack. So super good. Anyways, we'll keep going from there. That's just a cool tip. This really only applies to your spawning pool for your first building. Other than that, building stuff like in front of your natural is, I would say, the next important, relevant place to build things. But that definitely does help versus people who rush you super early and they just skip the natural or they bypass the natural. Okay. Everything's looking great. So a big thing too, here's a nice little tip, okay? And this is why ideally you're going to have this VOD in the future. But to listen to multiple times, so numbers like this might not be fully equatable right now, but they, ideally you'll get them by hearing this multiple times. If not, if you get it first time, great. You're like Neo who can make the jump first try from the Matrix. But if you're like between the time frame of like 120 to 130 and you see Zerglings crossing the map, this is 100% a 12 pool, okay? Like this is a relevant thing to take note of. This is very important because it changes how you should defend your base.
120 to 130.
120 to 130 is definitely a 12 pool. So you should react to that like a 12 pool, and we'll talk about that in a second. 130 to 140 is most likely a 13-12, which means they took a gas at 13 supply, and then they went for a pool right after it immediately at now 12 supply. And that means they're going to do Baneling all in.
That timing number, please.
130 to 140.
130.
That is most likely a Baneling all in, or it is or it could be a 12 pool that just got a little bit delayed for whatever reason. But that is possible at Platinum. But if you get the higher and higher you go, the odds of it being a possibility of like, oops, it was a mistake, is very unlikely. So if you see a ling flood coming across the map towards your base between 130 and 140 with your Overlord, and this is also assuming you're moving your Overlord within the first like 2 seconds of the game. So you're not like waiting 10 seconds to move it, because then if you do that, obviously timings will get thrown off. But if it's 130 to 140, it's going to be like a 13-12, so it's most likely going to have Banelings all in you as well as Zerglings. And then if it's anything after that, it's just most likely going to be a gas-based opener that could have speed faster than normal. And the only way you can really tell that exactly is once you finally get to his base. Because again, if we're talking 130 to 140 is the 13-12. So if 140 is now the starting point of the rest of the bullshit you could deal with, you're already kind of close to his natural at this point. You're getting closer and closer and closer. And anything that comes out between now, like 140 and 2 minutes, expect it to most likely be a gas opener. Or if you don't see it with your first Overlord and Zerglings arrive at your natural, like, or by your second Overlord or whatever, around like 150-ish, it could have just been a 12 pool where he just like decided instead of running directly across the map, he ran like down and around and avoided your first Overlord somehow and then went across the side of the map and came up this way or something like that. Mm-hmm. So again, the premise here would be 140 to 2 minutes. If you see Zerglings with like your second Overlord, very likely a 12 pool. He just ran around to try to hide it as long as possible, which also delays his attack. Or if you see 140 to 2 minutes Zerglings coming out of his base like now, like over here, very likely going to be a aggressive opening of a pool, but it's instead of it being a 13-12 or being a 12 pool, it could be something like a 14-14 where it's like a speedling opener just a little bit delayed, which is why the Zerglings are coming out delayed. Which means it's got more macro potential than faster pools because it has more drones, but there is almost 100% chance that it will have gas included in what he's doing. It's just going to be a little bit delayed because he made more drones. And then
is that first number referring to the pool and the second number is referring to the gas placement?
So whenever it's two numbers, it's always gas first. Most of the time, whenever a Zerg does a gas opener, they're going to take the gas before the pool because it takes longer to mine the gas to get speed than it does to build the pool. So like it allows you to start speed like as the pool finishes, so you can like really like expedite your rush with like speedlings. But once you get to this point where you have your Overlord at 2 minutes, 2 minutes is a relevant number to pay attention to, okay, on most maps. And this grace period where like I say most maps, all maps fall into like a grace period here of about like 3 seconds. Okay, so like if it's not 2 minutes on the map you're playing on, it's gonna be like 2:03, maybe 2:04. It really also depends on how fast you move the Overlord. If you take like 2 seconds or 1 second to move it, you could add 1 or 2 seconds to this timer. But the reason why this matters, and the reason why what I'm saying matters, is you should be looking at your Overlord between 2 minutes and beyond, and you should just be taking reference here, making sure you're not forgetting to do things like build an Overlord or build a drone or whatever like that. But do pay attention right now and go, okay, does he have creep here? Because I do. Does he? This is relevant. It really, every second matters a lot at this point in the game because you need to know if you do or don't want to make Zerglings. So if he does not have creep here at all, this is cause for concern, and you definitely want to scout the rest of the way in. You can see there's creep there, so this is not cause for concern. The reason why this is not cause for concern, okay? If there was no spawning pool here, I would be like, bro, you need to fucking figure out what is going on. Or if there's no hatchery here, sorry, I said spawning pool. If there's no hatchery here, you'd want to be concerned about what the fuck is happening. You'd be like, okay, are you one base roaching me? Are you one base zerglinging me? Are you doing a proxy base somewhere? Or what are you doing right now? And you'd want to obviously you'd want to scout in deeper and see the actual building if there was no creep there. And if there is no building there either, you better start preparing yourself for zerglings. You better like start making them now because something is happening. It could be a roach all in, like a one base roach all in type thing. It's going to be something. Like it's not going to just be one base macro. And if there is a hatchery there, obviously the timing of the hatchery matters a lot. If it's standard, it should be done. And standard means he's doing something like you did, where he's just now starting to mine the gas, or maybe at this point he might have a little bit more than you. If he's doing like you can see up here, he has 80, you have 32. He's doing more of a traditional like speedling opener, like an expansion into speedlings, and you're doing obviously beta GM delayed gas going into a quick layer with roaches, which is totally fine as well. But this is relevant though because this tells you you're safe from an early all-in, and you need to see that. Like the creep told you that already, but if there was no creep here, the hatchery being here gives you an idea what's going on. But if your hatchery is like finished at 2 minutes and his is like 20% of the way in, you would really have to ask yourself, why is it so late? Yeah, exactly. He'd be like, do you have a third hatch somewhere else, and this is actually your third hatch now? Like you built your natural hatch like there maybe? Or is this a situation where, and that's one of the first things I would check if I were you, I would literally go check the third base and just make sure it's not a 3 hatch opener where he's making it seem like it's an all-in, but it's actually crazy greedy or something.
Got it.
So checking there would be relevant. Still making Zerglings though if it's delayed initially. And then another thing too that would be relevant to check here would be if he has a delayed hatch where like it's not even done yet, and let's say it's like 50% or like 20% of the way in, at least make like 6 Zerglings to start right now and leave your Overlord in the area just so you can see if he comes down the ramp with some shit. So if he does, you can just start immediately making more lings beyond that. But if he doesn't come down the ramp, you can have like the 6 you made and have like 1 or 2 of them just go scout the map and go be like, what the fuck is in your base? Like, what are you doing? Are you teching right now? Like, what is happening? Are you doing a lurker build? Because people do weird shit sometimes. It does happen. But the hatchery timing is really important to know. The creep in front of it is important to know because you can see that he expanded before you see the expansion. If the creep exists, it's really important because, again, every second matters. And what should happen on your side is right around 2 minutes is when you should be starting the Overlord, okay? So I'm going to back this up. So right now, you should be at... This should be your go-to every ZvZ. At 2 minutes, you should start making an Overlord if you have not seen any shenanigans going on with Zerglings with your first Overlord or any shenanigans going on with your second Overlord. If nothing has happened yet, no Zerglings have approached you in any way, you should now make an Overlord. So the fact that right now you have an Overlord that is more than halfway done, this is actually incorrect. For later stages of ZvZ. Okay, so let me say it like this. I'm going to preface this because this is really, really, really important, and I don't want to make this too annoying for you and too confusing for you. If you right now in your current games do not struggle with getting all in ZvZ very much, you can disregard what I'm saying, but come back to it later when you get at a higher league in Starcraft 2. But if you are already dealing with all-ins a lot in ZvZ, and if you have been beaten by someone going for early lings at all, like, you know, it's like even more than 50% in any way. Like if it kills you more than you can deal with it, then this is definitely relevant for you. And I guarantee this is going to become relevant for you no matter what as you increase in skill, because this is standard ZvZ aggression. But if you do not build an Overlord before 2 minutes, and you see ling aggression coming across the map before 2 minutes, and the time frames we gave was like, it could be a 13-12, it could be a 12 pool, it could be a speed opener if it's like 150-ish and they're coming out, whatever. The reason why it's relevant is because when your Overlord when your natural finishes, you go up to 28 supply. Each hatchery is worth 6 supply, and you have 22 before this is done with your first Overlord being built at like 14 supply or 13 supply. So you have 28 supply is what I'm trying to say available, and that is enough to make 2 queens and 4 lings, which is the exact amount of what you're going to have on your hatcheries in terms of larva and queen availability for your 2 hatcheries. So you can literally go to 28 out of 28, and as they spawn, you will fight and defend yourself. And it is a huge difference having 8 zerglings immediately when someone gets to your base when you're defending it with aggression, or having only like 4 lings, or having 6 lings, or having 2 lings, or having 0 lings. Like every ling matters a lot, because it's literally like it's going to be like a little snowball effect of how much lings you can shave off each other before his speed kicks in, or before the hatchery dies. Because obviously if it's a 12 pool, you're not worried about if speed kicks in or not. You're worried about if your hatchery is going to die or not, because he might just fucking kill the hatchery if you don't defend it properly. And if it's obviously if it's a speedling all in, you're worried about him stacking up too many lings to where he can just like now be at a critical mass where he like is scary and he can like fuck your base up. So if you make 8 lings before 2 minutes, right as 2 minutes, right when your pool's done, you will have your 3rd larva finishing right out of your hatchery, right as the pool's done. And this is assuming you're gonna stop making stuff at 19, okay? If you see lings and shit coming across the map. It also means you're not making an Overlord. But if you do not see any lings and you're at 2 minutes and you're like, I'm good to go, you can make an Overlord and you can resume droning and you're totally fine. It's a huge tip for defending early game aggression or not defending early game aggression. Because if you just make drones and Overlords, you're taking a risk for sure. You're like, well, hopefully you don't 12 pull me or anything like that, because if you do, it's going to be harder to defend now.
So if I saw zerglings run across pre 2 minutes, I wouldn't make that Overlord I'm making now. And that's because the zerglings and the queens, some of them would die, and I would be able to refill that supply and use that money to make more.
Exactly. Yeah. You also would not have made this drone either. Right now, you could only have at max 4 lings right now to defend yourself, because this drone also exists, and this is your 20th supply drone. So this is something that isn't really super intuitive with B2GM style, because in B2GM style, it's literally maximize your larva and do everything, blah, blah, blah. This is more intuitive with like a speedling opener, where in ZvZ you're opening with speedlings, but it still absolutely applies defensively when you're going for B2GM style. It's just not as intuitive because it's not following the concepts of maximizing larva and spinning larva ASAP, stuff like that, because it's a small brief window of stuff in the game where it's between 120 to 2 minutes, the 40-second block, where you can literally figure out with your Overlords, is he going to all in me or not, like right away. Because if he does, and you have 8 lings at your base, and you haven't even started production on any yet, you're going to have a hard time defending that. But if he shows up... Go ahead, sorry. No, you go.
That scouting Overlord, let's say I didn't see a hatchery at the natural, and I was moving over to the 3rd to check, as you said, and would I wait until I could confirm whether there's a hatch or not to make either drones or zerglings, or should I just make zerglings and play a conservative?
So what you should be doing, I would say, if you're at 2 minutes and you have not seen a zergling yet, okay, immediately make an Overlord, so you don't larva cap. So when you make an Overlord, it'll make it off your main, pretty much. And then you keep moving it a little bit further. It will not take very long. It'll take you probably like 4 seconds. Maybe 5 seconds total depending on what map it is, because some maps are a little bit bigger, and if you didn't move it immediately when the game started, that could slow it down by like a second or two. But essentially, you should know within about 3 seconds of 2 minutes as to, is there creep here or is there not creep here, like what's going on. And if you're not hitting that timer, try to just get in the habit of moving Overlord at least, like when the game starts. You have an Overlord sitting there doing nothing. Maybe just move it to the edge of your screen towards where his base is, and then build the drone quickly, and then go back to the Overlord right after that and fix the Overlord and send it to where you actually need to send it. Just get it moving when the game starts. And a general rule of thumb that makes it super easy is move the Overlord opposite of where the minerals are. So if you don't have time to look at the minimap, be like, oh, minerals top left, I go bottom right.
That's super helpful. Okay.
So that'll make it to where like you just get the Overlord moving right away, so you don't fuck these timers up. So it's like you're on point with it still, and then you'll be able to see these timers properly. And then if you don't see any Zerglings before 2 minutes, you should be safe at this point to now just give it like 3 seconds so you can like dive in a little deeper just to see if you can see the creep. And if you still don't see anything by now, I would say a safe rule of thumb would be, if you're like, I don't think he's attacking me, I don't know, but I want a drone, just at least make one Zergling, okay? Just make one Zergling only. And then just go back to droning just while you're making queens, and have that one Zergling reconfirm what's going on at his base. And then keep scouting with the Overlord if you still haven't seen the hatchery yet. And then if you do see, oh, fuck, it's like a really late hatchery, it's super delayed. Maybe with one of those drones, make a fucking spine crawler and start scouting the third base just to see if he like took a third. And if he did, you can cancel the spine. If he didn't take a third, though, let it finish maybe, because maybe you're about to get like roach all in or something like that. Or it's going to be a really heavy ling bane attack. So everything I just said, does all of that make sense? Is there any way, like, again, I know it's going to be confusing as well, so that's why I said you could definitely want to listen to it. But for what I just described, anything that you're hearing at first, does it not make sense, or does it sound confusing, or how are you feeling?
So one thing I find very challenging as I play ZvZ is where to keep my eyes, because I realize that as time goes on when I play ZvZ, I spend more time on the minimap.
You should.
And, okay.
That's correct. I was about to tell you, one of the biggest places you should keep your eyes until you have your Roach Warren in your Evo chamber there is right here on the minimap. Because
it feels like I'm playing the game off the minimap, and it just felt unnatural.
You definitely want to pay attention to that. There's 2 reasons why paying attention to the minimap is really, really important. The first reason is because it signifies an attack is happening at all. And the second reason why is because it signifies how deep the attack is going to be invested into. So it's relevant to pay attention to like the choke point here where he can run out of his base, so that you can see if he's already attacking you and you just see another flood of red just cross the map right there, and you're like, oh, he's reinforcing it, I need to reinforce as well. Or as opposed to, thinking that you won the fight and you just go, oh, time to drone now, but then you're not paying attention at all to the fact that he's reinforcing. You make drones now and you're like, oh, well, he's attacking again, now we're dead. Oops. This concept is a little bit more forgiving for you, though, because you're not doing speedlings. You're doing a wall-off build. So you could get away with shit like that more because you have a wall that can buy you time. But in general, like I said, before your wall is done, before your wall is done, you definitely want to make sure you're paying attention to how much of a flood he's doing. It is very relevant, because the general rule of thumb would be if he's attacking you, make defense. Just spend your larva on making lings before you. This is all assuming he's doing it really early, like sub 230. So there should be lings like already coming to attack you as like you're figuring out if he's fucking expanding or not. Because once you get to like,
I find that I die.
Oh, sorry. You go. It's all good.
So I find that I die when I'm continuing to stack 2 drones on the closest mineral patch, because I'm just focused on doing that. And I just miss the minimap.
I'll give you a quick tip on that one. Stop stacking drones at 120. If you're still doing drone stacking at 120, stop. Just give it up. Just whatever is happening is happening. Because at 120, you need to turn your brain into a different focus mindset, and you need to pay attention to your overlords. Because if you don't register when these lings attack you, you'll have no idea. And a proper defense on 12 pull is pulling drones. Okay. What you want to do is you want to make lings and you want to pull drones. A good amount of drones to pull, I would say, is about that many right there. 12 drones. You want to have a full bar of 8 on the top, and you want to have it's like 1 line plus half of another line, because it's 8 plus 4. So that's like, if you could get 13, you could get 11. These are fine. Just try to aim for like 12. But if you get like fucking 7, you're gonna get fucked. That's gonna be bad.
Okay.
And if you get fucking like 20 like that, or like
That's
18,
what I've done.
that might be too many. You might really fuck yourself in terms of having no money now, because you're not gonna be able to make money to make more shit to defend yourself. So the idea is 12. Okay, a good way to do it would be, a good aim for it would be, try to get all but 2 of your patches. Okay, so if you green box like I just did right here, notice how I'm getting every drone but the bottom 2 patches. It gives me 12. You could do it on the other side too. Go for the left side and go for all but 2 patches. I got 13. That's a great way right now to just that all but 2 patches, green box all the drones but 2 patches, and then let it go. And then a good thing too, you should do right away, right after you send drones down. So you can like make them control 2, control 1 if you want to do that. Whatever you want to do, send them towards your natural once the lings are like approaching the ramp here. So you want, like, as soon as he's getting ready to come up your ramp to your natural, that's when you pull them and send them down. If it's a 12 pool, okay? And then as soon as you do that, a big thing to do too, so you don't really fuck yourself, tell 2 of your drones to get back on the mineral line. So do not leave 3 on the gas when you do this. You will fuck yourself so bad.
Okay.
Yeah, do not do that. If you're going to pull drones, do not mine 3 on the gas, because you'll have a situation where you have 80 minerals and 280 gas, and you're like, I fucking have no money. So 12 pool again.
Fine.
Yeah. So yeah, 1's fine, because you'll slowly build up enough gas to get a layer. But again, this is between 120 to 130. Drone pulling is good. Between 130 and the rest of it, do not drone pull. Do not ever drone pull if you see lings after 130. The only exception would be if you saw lings coming from like this direction right here, which is like down here in the corner of the map, at like 140. So that they would be, or like 145. So it would mean that these lings are going to get to your hatchery by like 2 minutes, which is what, like, you know, that's that time when it's like, did he expand? Did he not expand? Because lings, if they go directly across the map, if it's a 12 pool and they're like crossing your Overlord at like 125, they're going to get to your hatchery at like 145 to 150. But if they give him like a 10-second detour to like go to the corner of the map-ish, or to avoid your Overlord, and like if he runs down right away before the Overlord sees it and goes around that ramp, and then, you know, like not even there, because he wants to go behind your Overlord, like over here behind the Overlord, if that's his pathing, you can pull drones again, because you'll see the lings here, like on the edge of the map at like still sub 2 minutes. It'll be like 140, 145, which means he'll be getting to the hatchery like 155 to 2 minutes. That's okay to pull drones again. It requires more of an immediate reaction, because you'll see lings there, but that's like 145 and he's like already at your base. But
and is it okay to pull those drones in that case, even if it's past a minute 30 seconds, because I just don't have attack units?
If you see zerglings running across your Overlord, but now instead of like 122, it's now like 135, do not pull your drones, because what's going to happen is that means he went for a 13-12, and it means that as he's crossing the map, he's building a baneling nest, and it means that he's going to stop a couple of his zerglings like there and build banelings with them, or like there. He'll probably use his first 6 zerglings to see where your Overlords are, and then build with his 7 and 8 zerglings that are reinforcing right after the first 6, because he can build those while he's building the first 6. Because a zergling takes 17 seconds to build, and he can build 6 right away with the first set when he's done building the pool, and then he can build the next 4th egg of zergling, which is zerglings 7 and 8. He can build those 10 seconds into the first 6 zerglings being built. So they're going to spawn, and they're going to already be like 10 out of 17 for zerglings 7 and 8 when the first 6 are spawning. So they're not going to be too much far behind the first 6, is what I'm trying to say. And he will absolutely build 7 and 8 zerglings out of Overlord vision into banelings, like there or there or there. And if you pull drones to fight 6 zerglings, and suddenly 2 banelings walking into your fucking natural just exist, and you're like, run the drones? Oh, they're all dead. And you're dead. So do not fucking pull drones against any zerglings you see after 130, unless it's like coming from outside your natural, because your second Overlord is the one who caught it, which proves the fact that he ran around your first Overlord. It's the only time it's okay.
Yep.
That might take some practice to get used to that, and that's totally fine. But that is essentially the rule of thumb there for early game openers. And if you don't follow these rules very well, or if you don't, you know, if you're not just like adhering to them, you will lose a lot to early game aggression, especially when you're doing a B to J build.
Yep. And when it comes to the scouting versus Overlord, what I found is that I'll mirror my natural with theirs, and I'll often see, oh, they've expanded, they're fine.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're building a crap ton of Zerglings, and there's no drones on their natural.
So
it just comes in one wave.
Yeah, that's definitely going to come right now. That's why I was saying the wall makes everything else irrelevant.
I see.
So it just you really want to know how the fuck you're supposed to play before you have a wall. And if you don't know that, that's why I stress so hard on the last 30 minutes or so we've been talking. That's why I've been talking so much about this, because this is the most vulnerable that you're going to be the entire game before your Roach Warren's done. Because once your Roach Warren's done, it's super easy. Everything is like fucking super easy peasy. Because then you just have a blob of roaches that just deal with it, and you have a wall as well. So from there, as long as everything makes sense, we'll continue on. But that is a really important part of the game that you should try to really hard to understand. Because it'll just prevent you from being able to play roaches ever at all if you get harassed by someone like that and you can't deal with it. Mm-hmm. So he makes Zerglings, and those are 220 Zerglings. These are not threatening. Okay, you should see these and not give a shit. Be like, oh,
because they don't speed.
It's because they're so it's the reason why they're not threatening is because number one, he is running out of his base at 220. That is very late. Another reason is because you confirmed he expanded, which means he did not open gas before pool. You cannot expand at the so. This is important to think about it like this: you expanded, and you did that without even taking a gas, and you did that right as you had 300 minerals. So you did that optimally for minerals. He had an expansion that was very similar to yours, so it is physically impossible that he could squeeze out a speed upgrade before he expanded. That's just it's not possible. Yeah, he would have to be having high yield mineral patches here to be able to pull that off. Because he has the same money you do. He can't just create 300 more minerals out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So that confirms that he doesn't have gas before he made the hatchery. That's all that confirms, which means it guarantees that speed starts after the hatchery, which means you have a lot of time now to deal with this before it finishes. If I had to guess, I would say generally again a general rule of thumb for standard openers like this, where it's hatch first and into lings after, 3 minutes and 30 seconds is when speed's going to be done. So if we look at his spawning pool right now, it's starting 5 out of 79. If we had 79 seconds, or rather, if we had 74 seconds to the current clock right now, that'll put us right around 330, 335, 338, whatever the fuck. What is that exactly? It's 339. So yeah, you have plenty of time. And that's proven without even having to see this. We already knew, if we think about it logically. He's making Zerglings at 220 for a hatch first opener. Physically cannot have speed right now, or anytime in the near future. It has to be at least 330-ish. Just as a general idea. So what this means is your queens are going to be done before he gets to your base. That is a huge deal. Makes you easily way more defensible. And then you could be greedy about it and not make Zerglings at all and just use drones with your queen. Or you could make maybe half the amount of lings he has here. So, but you can't do exactly half, obviously, because it's 2 at a time. So if he has 6, maybe you make 4. You could even try to be greedy about it and make 2. It's you should look at this though, and look at this as it is not threatening at all. Okay, because a queen could literally kill half of this and no problem. So he's crossing the map now. There's 8 lings coming towards you. Now there's 10 lings coming towards you. This is why looking at the minimap is relevant. You should definitely pay attention to this in the early game before your Roach Warren's done. I would say Spinecaller is not the play. It's not going to be done by the time he gets here. It's going to die. If you don't have drones or lings, if you don't pull drones or if you don't have lings at all with your queen, 10 lings will easily kill that spine and overpower the queen. 10 lings is a lot of lings. So exactly, but you are making lings now, and that's great. And the other side is making lings now as well. That's great. You are literally fine if you just wait for these 6 lings to spawn and you don't have the spawning pool or the spine crawler there. Okay. So you already made enough lings that you need. That's great. All you got to do is inject your hatcheries. Inject queen spawns, you inject the hatchery. Queen spawns, you inject the hatchery. You have 2 ways to do this. Number 1, you put your queen in the natural, between the mineral patches or between the gas. Put it where it can't be fully surrounded. And then your queen in the main could be between the pool and the hatchery, like we talked about. if you put the pool in the right spot. That'd be like one way you could do this. Another way you could do this would be inject your hatchery, immediately run both queens to the ramp right there. One queen stands right there, the other queen stands right there. Physically can't get in your main base. You could even put it at the base of the ramp here. You could put your queen right there and your queen right there, so they have more range to like shoot towards the natural. And you could have your 6 zerglings like where the rocks are here, the little like unbuildable rocks, and your lings could like poke his lings whenever he poked your hatchery. You could also make your drones mine from the north patches instead of the south patches, so they're closer to the queens. Just for this brief moment in time, 6 lings and 2 queens will absolutely beat 10 zerglings. No problem. Again, one queen is worth about 3 lings by itself, and like effectively. So 2 queens is easily worth 6. And if you have 6 lings plus 2 queens, you have more than his like 10 zergling equivalent of like what power he has right now. With good micro, queens are even worth more than 3 lings at a time. Queens can be worth like 5 at a time. Because if you're not getting fully surrounded, queens are actually incredibly effective because you limit the surface area of how they can't die that fast. So now he's got 12 lings attacking you. So this is, again, the more lings that come out, the more I would say you probably would want to have the queens on the ramp, just for now, just to be okay. And you could literally, one thing you could do that would be really clever, you could arguably just make more queens. You could be like, all right, maybe delay your layer just for a second, maybe make a 4th queen in your main base and never leave, like after your first inject, never leave the fucking ramp. So a 3rd queen will spawn out of your natural down here to like, you can move it to the north of the hatchery, so it's kind of like there, so it's protected by the queens, and you can also protect the other side of the hatchery with the queen here. So it's like you drag the lings towards you into more queens to be able to fight the queens. You're never fighting with isolated queens, and the queen in the main could just stay in the main, so you don't miss injects in your main base, and then you can make a layer. That would be a great deviation to deal with someone playing like this. Because you don't let him get into your base, you minimize the area he can harass you from, and then you still can protect your natural. And once you build your wall here with Evo and Roach Warren, you can shift the queens from the ramp to the doorway.
To block that.
To block that, exactly.
Yeah.
But right now he's got 12 lings attacking you, right? Now he's got 14. Again, relevant to look at this. Now he's got 16. So you should be kind of keeping tabs on this. Again, this matters a lot before your Roach Warren is done. And your Roach Warren should not be built until this inject bar finishes and you spend that larva and then you make that Roach Warren. If you make it earlier than that, you will not be able to spend your larva. You'll be broke. I like that you pulled your queen down. I don't like how there's a layer, though, for this particular kind of a move. Because now, as I said before, last coaching lesson, larva is really important. Larva is massive. Larva is the king here. Larva is like always the most important thing you should ever focus on in the game. And if you now know you're going to not be able to inject larva here anymore because you want to pull the queen here, which I think was a completely reasonable move, you want to fix that first before you make the layer.
So I have larva by building that queen. Got it.
Yeah. So like now because again, you want to be here, right? You want to be able to defend yourself, which is completely reasonable. But now you've foregone the job of being able to inject larva in your main from now on. So that's just not going to be injected anymore. And that's way worse than sticking to the plan and making a layer. Like absolutely should have made another queen first and then made the layer if you're going to do this. Which is again, this is what I would have done. I would have pulled queen, but I would have made another one. Now, lings, you want to be really careful about how many lings you make, okay? So if he keeps making lings, you can keep making lings. This is totally very reasonable. This is fine. But you do not want to get yourself put in a position where you just keep making lings and he does not commit to an attack. And this is something people do all the time in lower leagues. They psych themselves out.
Get behind an economy.
Exactly. Yeah. You're actually ahead, but your opponent makes some aggression units and he doesn't attack you. And suddenly he now has a 10 drone lead. And you're like, wait, what? But you're like, oh, I have like 41 or like 42 zerglings and he has 12. Okay, that makes more sense now. Like I have so many fucking lings and it's like they don't have speed either. And you're like, what do I do with these fucking slow non-baneling lings? Like, do I just go blob into to his base with slow lings? And it just feels bad, right? You're like, fuck my life. Same thing happens with roaches. So what should be happening for you in your mind right now is this is getting real close to finishing this inject bar, which means you're getting real close to wanting to make that pool, the Roach Warren and the Evo Chamber. And you could arguably make it slightly early because This is obviously really important. There's like 16 lings on the field right now or some shit like that. That's a decent amount. So if you like right now grabbed like 3 drones and you made Roach Warren, Evo, Evo, and you made a full wall, except for like maybe one little grid spot, like what we talked about here with the, you know, like the gas and the pool, the hatchery, just enough for a queen to sit in the middle of it and fully block it off. Then, if you created that right now,
1 pixel, 1 square.
A queen will comfortably block 1 grid spot. It will very uncomfortably block 2 grid spots. You have to have it directly in the center for it to work. But even if you're a good player, you still fuck it up all the time and you get surrounded. And you're like, well, should have shrunk that doorway down. But 1 grid spot is brainless. It doesn't require you to like position your queen like just right. All you have to do is be in the doorway. That's it. You don't have to like be like for instance on the ramp here. You could arguably block the whole ramp with 1 queen if you like put it directly in the middle, and lings would slowly get stuck on the sides. But that's very hard to do that. That's what I'm talking about with like a 2 grid spot. Actually, lings never get blocked. Let's be real. It's like a Hellion would get blocked. Sorry, I like because this is definitely more than 2 grid spots. This is like 3 on the ramp. It's quite larger. A 2 grid spot would be like almost half the ramp. But the point is, if one grid spot doorway is what you're looking for. So just one little gap between buildings, and the rest of it's blocked. Like you're blocked to the wall, you're blocked to the wall. Your like 2 Evo chambers are touching each other. It's just like one of the Evo chambers and the Roach Warren or something, however you want to build it. There's just one little spot where it's open somewhere, and you stand in the doorway. And then your queen is now going to be really hard to kill there. And a big tip of what you want to do here, if that happens, is you never want to have the queen in the doorway where it's also going to block a future building. So this is something I want you to look at paint on, okay? Just for a second. This is hard to explain in StarCraft 2. If you look at paint though, I hope it makes sense. So if you like look at my actual stream for a second. So okay. This is supposed to be like your base, okay? This is giving you an example of what your base would be like, right? These are like mineral patches, whatever. Okay, so this is general, like it looks like shit, but it's a general idea. If you're gonna build a Roach Warren like this, for instance, like let's use red. You build a Roach Warren like right there. It's like against the wall, or like right here, whatever. You build like an Evo chamber right there. It's against the wall, and you build another Evo chamber like right there. It's once again against itself. And let's say this is like a 1 grid spot right here where a queen could fit in. You would not want to put the queen. You would not want to put the queen like right there. You would not want to put the queen right there either. The reason why you would not want to put the queen in either one of those spots is because if it's in the front, and let's say like lings are like all out here, right? They're all like attacking you from this direction. That's where the lings are coming from. And they're attacking you this way, right? You would not want your queen to be in this like highlighted green box in the front, because if it was, you're going to get surrounded by like 4 lings at a time, and your queen's just going to fucking die super fast. It's really bad. You also do not want your queen in the back, just like that either. You want your queen instead in the very middle where this blue box it will be, like right somewhere like right there. So it's not in the front where it's exposed from the front side, and it's also not in the back where it blocks the back. And the reason why it's really important not to block the back is because if your opponent attacks you with an all-in, the easiest way to defend it is to make another Evo chamber right there. And now it's a wall.
Oh my god, this visual is so helpful.
Because a 1 grid spot opening is just 1 grid spot, and an Evo chamber is a 3x3 building. So you can overlap 1 grid spot on like the Roach Warren and 1 grid spot on another Evo chamber that you already have in the wall. That's like a vertical wall or a horizontal wall based on whatever map it is. And you just fill in the back with another Evo behind the doorway. And if it's like a corner to corner, like let's say it's a corner to corner, okay, we'll make a new paint really fast. Okay, well, I don't want to delete this because I think it's a good visual, but I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say corner to corner. We'll delete this thing right here.
Zerglings.
Here, yeah, there. Okay, so this is what I mean by corner to corner. Let's say it's a map where the doorway looks like this, right? Let's say it looks like this, and it's like this. And then you build an Evo chamber like this. Or like let's say your Roach Warren is like that. Your first Evo chamber is like that. Your second Evo chamber is like that. That is totally a corner to corner block. It looks a little different. Instead of putting the Evo chamber obviously like right there, that's not obviously where you would put it. You would instead put it in the gap where you'd put it like right there, or like right there, and then you'd block it off, and your queen would be standing right there when you block it off, like inside the wall, tucked in, so that Zerglings on the outside are getting stuck out here, and they're like not able to really like get in your base, and they also have no good surface area on your queen. And the queen blocking easily buys you time to build this, because when you're in the wall like that with the queen, it will literally take Lings like 10 seconds to kill that queen. So you have plenty of time to like get your fucking drone over there and build it. And a big thing to keep in mind too, Lings cannot kill. They never, ever, they can never kill that Evo chamber that I just highlighted in red, the back one. They will never be able to kill it faster than it builds. So even if your queen dies right as the Evo chamber finishes, it won't die. It will build itself to completion. It'll still take some damage in the process, but it will literally build itself to completion, which just gives you time. It buys you time to continue building more Evo chambers, to continue building more SimCity. So if your opponent is super all in, a great way you can deal with it, if this is like way before you have roaches, you can build another Evo right there. You can build another Evo right there, like to block that wall off right there. You can build another Evo right there. You can build another Evo right there. You can build another Evo right there. You literally can just build Evos around him all the fucking time. And make sure there's no...
This is the Tetris you're talking about.
Exactly. You just build Evos while your opponent's all in like this. And every time an Evo dies, like if this Evo right here, let's make it a green one. If that Evo dies right there, what happens is when they die, they spawn the broodlings. And those broodlings are literally like Zerglings. They're temporary because they don't have permanent life. They're like a duration. But they're very similar to Zerglings. They have a slightly faster, they have 30 health and they have 4 damage, and a Zergling has 35 health and 5 damage. So like a Broodling will beat the shit out of a Zergling, very much so. And if a Queen and a Broodling are like hitting the same Zergling together, that Zergling is going to die. So you can thin out his numbers with Broodlings from these Evo chambers before he breaks through your entire wall. And then you can have Queens the entire time just killing Lings over the wall the whole time. It thins his numbers out. Like if you have 3 Queens shooting over the wall, and he's got 30 Zerglings, you're going to kill, like, what each queen is going to kill 1 Zergling every, like, 5 seconds. So that's like 3 Lings every 5 seconds that are just dying. And if it takes him a while to break through this wall, like, because you're constantly building another layer behind it, you're going to be just fine. And finally, so now, hopefully these graphics make sense. Does it all...
It does, and this is still cost effective because isn't an Evo 6 Zerglings? So if you were to just keep making and making and making.
So an Evo, an Evo chamber, in this sense, all you should think about is 1 Evo chamber is 1 larva. Neither one of you, if you're still mining with your drones at this point in time, and he is with his drones because he's making Zerglings to attack you, his drones are still mining, neither one of you is ever going to have a problem spending your money with the amount of money you have. You're both going to probably make more money than you can spend. Because you're not building like 10 Evo chambers in 1 second. You're building 1 Evo chamber every like 10 seconds. Because you're just adding more in as he like starts to break your wall down. You're like, oh, need to fill in right there before he breaks it. Need to fill in there before he breaks it. You're not building all of them at once. You're building them as it looks like you need to build more because your queens aren't able to like completely kill them now or whatever. Or your broodlings haven't like helped finish them off. So if he like keeps flooding you all day, it's totally okay. Because his drone count when he does that is probably going to be like 15, 14. Your drone count when you start building Evos like this is probably going to be like 23, 24. So if you build like 9 Evo chambers, you're going to be tied with him in drones. You're going to have way more drones than him if he's the one putting you in this position. Because he's obviously all-in you. Or doing a really aggressive attack.
When it comes to Evo and Roach Warren placements, because what I do is because Roach Warren is the priority, I go to the edge and I go... click to go 3 pixels up, and that always takes some time.
So what I would recommend you do is try to make your first building always against the wall, and then base your other buildings off of that. So like this building could go like there on the wall. This building could go like there on the wall right here. And then you base the rest of your buildings off of that. So then if this one was here where it is now, you'd want to build the next building like you could either make a wall or make the door. So like, I'm gonna go back to paint and give you an idea one more time. I'm gonna do a new one here. So again, if this is the wall, right? This is the wall. Here's your base, inside, blah, 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 whatever. If you build a Evo chamber or a roach warren first, whatever, like right there, okay? You now have a choice to where do you want your second Evo chamber, like your second building now, the Evo chamber or the roach warren if it wasn't first, do you want it to be based on the wall like that? So you can now have your third building have a gap like this? Or do you want to instead gap the first building? So like rather you build your building there against the wall. You can gap your other building right after, like right there. Instead of building it just like this, you could go, you know what? I'm going to physically create a doorway like that. I've now created a 1 grid gap in the door. And now I can make my last Evo chamber to finish off the thing right there. And let's say you play this game and you're like, you know what? He all in me. And this building in the middle was way too vulnerable. I like the wall, but it was way too vulnerable. You could memorize that and go, you know what? Next time, I like 10 games in, I'm more comfortable with it. Instead of doing it this way, maybe next time I'm going to build my Evo chamber like this. And does that make sense? And now suddenly it's not super fucking exposed in the front anymore. It's now more flush with your wall, but it's still a wall. Like, there are little subtle differences in walls that make them more effective to less effective. But the general rule of thumb is you want to have as little surface area as possible. So you don't want to have protruding edges that make no sense. And if you could arguably make it happen on the low ground too, like on the bottom building, if you could back this one up like this, that would obviously be great.
That's even better.
If it was still flush with the wall. But now if that creates a doorway where they can run in your base like that, obviously that's bad. Then that wouldn't work, right? So sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to leave it where it was, like there, right there. Some maps definitely make you do that, but there are definitely choices sometimes where you have like you can still wall there, like this spot right here that I just made an X on. That can still be a wall like that, and you don't need to have that protruding Evo chamber right there to make that work.
I see. Okay.
So it's just something to think about, but the general rule of thumb always is you want to always have a doorway that is like that, where 1 grid spot can put a queen in, and you can be creative about it. The only thing I would recommend you don't do is never put that open spot on a doorway, or like, on a cliffside. Never do that. Never have one there. Never have one there. Do not ever do that, because if you do that, some maps in StarCraft 2 have rounded edges like this, and it will feel awkward to defend it because it's actually like similar to like what this is, where it's like more open than it might seem. Like the queen might not cover it as well as you want it to. It'll have more surface area to get attacked from. It's just not good. Because if you were to have the queen like right there protected, lings could flood around the top of it. And if you have a queen right there where it's like actually flush with the wall, now it's like really exposed because it's like open there. It goes diagonally up, so your queen's really exposed right there from like more lings could fit in there and hit your queen now. So that's why you never want to do a queen against the wall.
Rounded edge by looking at it.
Because it's a point. It's not flat. It's not flat like that. It's a point.
Okay.
So that makes it to where if your queen was standing in there to the point exactly to block that, it has a diagonal upward terrain effect, which now creates like a bigger pocket for zerglings to be in there. And a queen is not like a straight line. It's not like that. It literally is large and obese and big. Like you see, like if you put a queen like right there, it's gonna be like that large and that little point right there, and that means that queen is now gonna get hit a lot there. Like 5 lings could probably hit the queen because it's just so large. So, but if you put a queen between buildings like this, where again this whole doorway right there, if you put a queen like in the middle of that, like right there, then your queen literally can't be hit because the building, it can still fit between that, but the buildings protect the bulkiness of the queen from itself, and it doesn't allow your queen to get hit by like a lot of lings at once.
So there's less surface area for it to get hit by the
things. And this is all super important to know, because this is how you're going to get to a fucking roach opener. Without the roaches so far, you're just going to be in a situation like this where the whole game gets thrown off, right?
Yep. And it's important to wall off against Zerg in these situations. Is it still important to wall off against Terran and Protoss?
I would say it's important to wall off against Terran and Zerg. It's not as important to wall off against Protoss. The reason why it's not as important to wall off against Protoss is because Protoss have a lot of units in tier 1 that are ranged, which can outrange your wall. From you can't attack them while they're hitting the outside.
So you could lose
and you could just lose the wall. Yeah, like Stalkers, if Stalkers are out there, they will just kill your wall. And you're going to walk out single file to try and defend that. And you're just going to get punished severely. Yeah. Okay. So now you have a spine, but now with a spine, it's really scary to just leave this ramp open. So again, I'm not saying a spine is what you should do. The walling is what you definitely should do. But now if we're going to talk really quickly about the situation that you've provided yourself, if this guy can run up your ramp, you're fucked. So what you'd want to do, this is why a queen would have been so important here, because I know you're trying to inject it. But if you're going to inject it and you have a third queen spawning here, you definitely need to move the queens there. Like these two at the natural, the one in the hatchery and the one already there, should go there right now. And the spine crawler, honestly, so you just want 2 queens on the ramp. So I totally understand you want to inject the base, so this one going to the main because you don't have one there is okay. It is scary though, because right now you're leaving this open for him to run through. So to fix that, this queen that spawns in the natural in the next 4 seconds should immediately run to the ramp, while this queen injects the hatchery and goes to the ramp as well. And you block the ramp. And while you block the ramp, this is how you should be thinking with your brain, SimCity-wise. Your spine crawler makes no sense where it is, because if you're blocking the ramp, your queens cannot provide support to the spine. But your spine, where it is right now, does provide support to the entire natural. So it's half good, because it can protect the natural, but it can't be protected itself. So if you were to uproot the spine and put it like right there, on the north side of the hatchery, but touching the hatchery, first thing that does is it prevents a full surround on the spine crawler, because part of it's touching the hatchery, so lings can't get through there. So it's against the hatchery, so it automatically 25% of the surface area is gone now from the spine crawler to be surrounded on, so it lasts longer now. And then if it's on the north side of the hatchery, it still protects the whole hatchery and all the drones, just like it was doing before, but now the queens can help the spine if he surrounds the spine. Okay, and then now your larva is being spent. You have plenty of money for all of it. This is when you need to be building the roach warren, the Evo. And if you put a queen in the doorway, and if you even had a spine, and you put a spine in range to shoot over the wall to kill the lings on the other side, you would be completely fine. He is making more lings, but you would be fine. Just make another queen. Literally, like if you're worried like this guy's non-stop flooding lings, just keep making queens. Like out of your natural while you make a layer. Mm-hmm. Because if you have like 4 queens, 5 queens, 6 queens,
I'm good.
You're going to kill like 1 ling every 5 seconds or so with 1 queen. So if you have like 5 queens, you're killing 5 lings every 5 seconds. And if 5 queens shoot 1 ling at the same time, it's just 1 shot to the Zergling.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like lings, queens do 8 damage per shot to a Zergling because it's 4 times 2 because they have 2 attacks, and they attack more than once a second. They attack every 0.71 second. So arguably in 2 seconds you can get 3 hits in basically. Just slightly over 3 that, because it would be, if you do 0.71 times 3, that's 2.13, right? So it'd be like that extra 0.13 of a second would be like the excess, but it's, you get the point. Like you're hitting a lot, right? And then a Zergling only has 35 health. So 8 damage, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. 5 queens hit for 40 damage. And it surpasses what a Zergling has. So it would literally one-shot a Zergling. But ultimately, getting the roach warren built ASAP when you need to build it, and you definitely should be building it already because you have the money for it. The faster that's finished, the faster you then can make roaches. And the faster you can make roaches, the easier this is going to be to deal with, because now you have roaches behind the wall fighting Zerglings, which is extremely fucking strong. And if you don't even need a lot, you could literally make like 6 roaches, and you could kill 50 Zerglings. If you have roach warren Evo,
behind the wall.
Yeah, literally. If you have like a roach warren and 2 Evos and a queen blocking the doorway, and then let's say he all-ins you, and you need to build like another Evo in front of the queen to just make sure that wall is still filled when the queen dies. You could literally have like 6 roaches and like 1 more queen back there. Let's just say you only made 3 queens like you did here, okay? You would still have 1 queen left over, and you could have like 6 roaches, and 6 roaches each roach would be 3-shotting a Zergling, and you'd be killing lings so super fucking fast. Like they would be just falling off of your wall, essentially. So roaches is really relevant. You don't want to deviate that too long. And right now you're not even building a wall at all. So there's your wall. This wall is okay. That is definitely a wall to the corner here. This is also a wall to the Evo, but it's a huge gap here. So you'd want to have another Evo in a way where you could create a one grid gap, but also not fully wall this off. So like there would not be a good idea because that's a full wall. Instead, you want to raise that up by one and go like right there. And now suddenly,
You mean raise the
Evo, the third Evo, the third building,
third
which would be like the second Evo. Sorry, this third building overall.
Okay.
So you need a third building here if you're getting all in like this. Don't just leave it at 2 because that's a humongous fucking doorway. And if you had another Evo chamber like right there, notice how like that does not touch the other, because you can see like the current roach horn that's in the middle. The yellow perimeter around it is the perimeter of the building. So if you had an Evo chamber like where this green box is, that doesn't touch the roach horn, but you could leave your queen like right there. And now that's
thing that you drew in paint.
exactly. And now you have a queen in the doorway, and you can put another Evo right there if the queen was going to die. And that would create a full wall. But now you still do have a wall that you can artificially have because a queen would be there, and the Evo chamber would be there. And then you could have the other queen and the spine and roaches eventually shooting the lings over the wall. Chances are really high he'll just run away. And then if you have roaches and he has banelings, the banelings will blow up the Evo chambers and then probably all die. And then all your roaches and spine and broodlings will just be there fighting the zerglings. And he'll probably run away or die. And if he does run away, just bring 2 more drones over and rebuild the buildings that just died. And now, once again, he has to kill buildings while roaches are killing him.
Yep.
So all of this is how you defend people who play like this. Super fucking easy. But if you let it just be open like this, a lot scarier. And now if he runs banelings in like that, a lot scarier again, right? You are not even having a sense of a wall here. But everything we talked about with the paint and like what you could be doing, does that all make a lot more sense as to how you could fuck this all over? Because these are all melee units. And if you're forcing him to blow all of his banelings on buildings too, that's wonderful for you because now you don't have your drones have nothing to be afraid of if the wall dies. It's just zerglings, right? And then if you have queens and roaches and spine. Spine is very excessive right now. I don't even think you need it. But because you have access to a wall is so much better than a spine. And if you didn't make that spine, you could have literally arguably made a roach warren instead because it's similar cost. That's 100. Roach warren's only 150. So, and you have plenty of money. You have 600 minerals right now. So you could easily have built a roach warren. And you could already have roaches being made right now. For sure. But if your queens are getting fully surrounded, if your spine's getting fully surrounded, if he's running all of his lings in with no blockage at all, he's getting maximum efficiency from his melee units, and that's not what he should be getting.
Got it, yeah.
And now you made a bunch of zerglings. So this is that moment where now you have 16 slowlings that do jack shit right now, and you also lost your queens. So now you also don't have injects. So now your larva is taking a massive hit, and you have a bunch of useless zerglings. Which is obviously, again, not...
That's why I threw them across the map.
No, exactly.
They were useless.
I totally understand like why you attack with them, because them sitting at your base is doing literally nothing for you. But when you get across the map, you're going to literally run into banelings and speedlings, and they're just going to die anyways. So this is like you're just fucked because you made a bunch of crappy lings, and the reason why that you felt the need to make them is because you didn't wall.
Yep. It's a snowball effect.
And now your lings did nothing, and now he does another attack, and now you're feeling extra pressured again. And your queens were stifled. You don't even have them anymore because they're dead. You only have 2 roaches right now. The wall's still not done right now, so now you're going to die. Yeah, now at this point, with that last attack that just happened, at this point now you've lost 22 drones, which I guarantee is going to make you be down in drone count. You're actually not down in drone count, surprisingly enough. The game is still salvageable. It's because he's super all in. The game is still salvageable, but like it obviously is looking fucking rough. Like you still don't have the wall there. You really need to get that wall going. And at this point, I would say just block it off. Like one Evo chamber that you can kill later to open up the door is so much more value than losing 22 drones, and also having to run away from mining and not even mining anymore. Like, the amount of money you've lost already equals up to probably, like, 1,500 minerals when that Evo chamber would have been worth 125. Right? If you would have just been like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make the wall. Fuck it, I'm not gonna even like. I know Vibe said to have a queen in the doorway, but I panicked and I just wanted to have a full wall. Like that's also fine. A full wall is still better than this. And this is why I already knew what this game was going to look like before we even got to this point, right? Because I could see the timer and I was like, I already know what to expect. Mm-hmm. But everything about identifying what the fuck is happening in the early game is so critical to having a game that does not fall apart like this. Because what the game should look like right now.
The game usually set the rest of the game.
Yes, 100% always.
Starcraft? Okay.
You could never ever have a bad early game and a good late game. That does not exist. You will always have a bad game overall if your early game is bad. As soon as the game goes bad, like think about it like this. This is the best analogy to think about with StarCraft. Every single game is a train leaving the station, okay? And it's like you have like an objective where it's like I need to get to my destination in X amount of time. And every time you like slow down or something like that, you're going to get to that. You're now going to be late. You're going to be late to your destination and it's going to throw things off because now like, let's say conditions happen on the destination where like once it gets to be on a certain point, now like the conditions are a lot bumpier and it's worse and you know, it's going to snow or some shit. Who fucking knows, right? Mm-hmm. But like the longer it takes you, the more bad things you're going to encounter. So being optimal is essential. And then on top of that, if the train ever gets derailed, let's say like someone for whatever reason you're driving the train and then you're like the tracks are out in front of us, like there's no tracks anymore, and your train fucking flies off a cliff. You can't just like pick that back up, put it on the train track, and be like, let's go again, guys. Like you're fucked, right? And this is 100%. This game is a train being fucking derailed. Like you just flew off a bridge that's out, and like you were watching like 10 fucking cars of a train about to like crash into a cliffside. Because it's just like, this is not what you want to be. This is a bad situation. And there's no like, you can't just be like, okay, let's fix it now. We're going to go back to having a good game again. It's just trying to salvage the mess, essentially, is what you're going to do now. Yeah. So definitely relevant to think about, you know, for the future. Because like setting your game up to be efficient throughout the game is the way you want to go. And now your opponent's all letting you again. And, you know, obviously you don't have enough. You're just going to die. And this is only 7 roaches. So it's not like, oh my god, this guy has a crazy army. This is a little poke that is essentially killing you because he derailed you earlier. So, essentially, like, if we're talking like 6 minutes after the fact, at this point, this is when he's about to like do his attack. This is when he's like getting ready to move across the map. But in the next like 15 seconds. At this point for you, around 6 minutes, you should 100% have around like 50 drones instead of 18. And you should have probably like anywhere between the amount of like 8 to 16 roaches because this guy was so aggressive. You could easily have those numbers. Easily. It's not even hard. You could easily have those numbers if you did not break earlier at all. If you just did the wall technique we talked about and you just spent larva optimally, easily have those numbers at 6 minutes. So if you had those numbers, if you have like, let's say 13 roaches, and let's say you have 50 fucking drones, and you have a third base starting, and you have 1 roach now in the doorway, or 1 queen, whatever you want to still do. But I would say a roach probably makes more sense if you have a third queen now going to the third hatchery.
Oh, roaches could block that one path.
They can, yeah. Between buildings, a roach could do the same thing a queen can. So
they just look so much smaller.
Yeah, but that's why that's so great, right? Because the fact that a queen can fit between 2 buildings like that is amazing. A queen is like fucking large, so the fact that it can fit there, where a roach can also fit, where it's tight for a roach as well, is amazing because it just shows you like if you do that, if you abuse that, it makes Zerglings so much weaker and it makes this build so much better. But yeah, like at 6 minutes, you should totally have a third base that's already started. Let's say you have like 12 roaches out here defending it, and then you have 1 roach in the doorway defending your natural. And then if you were to show up and attack your natural, you could always, again, build an Evo to block it if you need more time, or make more roaches and defend yourself, whatever you need to do. And then a way you can defend your third base, if there's a lot of lings out there like that, is leave your roaches at your third, like here. Like, have you ever fought Protoss with Zerglings, and they always go between the mineral patches and shit with, like, adepts and stuff, and you're like, fuck, these things are hard to kill.
Really annoying.
It's the exact same thing when you have roaches versus Zerglings.
So you're minimizing surface area.
Exactly. Minimizing surface area is how you beat Zerglings. And it holds true in a mirror match when you can build a wall and you minimize surface area on your units that are killing the Zerglings. Like either having a wall entirely or having a wall with only like a one grid doorway where a queen can fit inside. And that makes a lot of sense to expedite that wall if your opponent's playing like this guy did, where he just keeps making fucking Zerglings.
Yeah, so I don't die.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So a lot of that was preventative. And if you get to that point where you're just like mindlessly making roaches, you're golden. You're like, oh, I got good drone count. I can make roaches. We're fine. This guy's economy is low all game, and he's also got low army supplies because of it as well as a result of that. And if you don't allow him to just ransack your base repeatedly, you'll be like scratching your head at like how weak his attacks feel because he's genuinely playing inoptimal. The only reason why he's making use of it is because you're not playing properly yourself by countering his build by having a wall. So then you'll be like, oh wow, I have like now suddenly I have 25 roaches and he's attacking me with 8 roaches and 20 Zerglings, and my 25 roaches just killed all of his Zerglings and did not even lose 1 roach yet. And then now I have 20 roaches versus like his 7 roaches, and you just lose like 2 roaches there, and you kill all of his roaches, and you're like, I have 18 roaches, and he has no units. I can just counterattack and kill him now. That is what it will definitely feel like if you set this up the way we talked about, especially once your +1 weapons finishes. Because I don't know if you know this, but without this upgrade, it takes a roach 3 hits to kill a Zergling. But with this upgrade, it only takes a roach 2 hits to kill a Zergling, because it makes a roach do 18 damage instead of 16, and 18 plus 18 is 36, which is more than 35. So a roach efficiency goes up dramatically when you get +1 weapons versus Zerglings. It makes, and especially also when you get roach speed, you can kite Zerglings so easy. Like you can stutter step back, and the Zerglings can like never even get us around on you. Yeah, like roaches just they outclass Zerglings so hard in the mid game. Like the only way Zerglings are only ever good versus roaches in 2 situations. Number 1, when they're caught. When the Zerglings can catch roaches in the middle of nowhere and have a lot of good surface area, and the supply is heavily in favor of Zerglings, that is okay. Like if you have like 30 Zerglings versus like 3 roaches, and they're in the middle of nowhere, obviously that's going to be good for Zerglings. So, and you can do that because it takes longer to make roaches than it does to make Zerglings because you can make them right away. So that's why walls are super important. So that's one situation that's good for Zergling. The only other situation that is good for Zergling against a roach is late game when a Zergling has melee upgrades and adrenal glands on the hive tech. It's the only time Zerglings become good against roaches again. The rest of the game,
the melee upgrades?
Yeah, like the rest of the game, in the mid game, Zerglings just fucking suck versus roaches. As soon as roaches get +1 weapons, as soon as they get speed, as soon as roaches get to a blob where it's like, you have like 30 roaches or something like that, Zerglings are fucking awful versus roaches. The only way they can really make it work is if you add other units into the composition with Zerglings, like lurkers or mutas or banelings or something that could just deal with the blob of roaches, because Zerglings fucking suck at that point. So if you just understand that, and you just understand, okay, wall, roach, make more, Zerglings can't touch me now, then you'll be so confident and not need to do things like make all the lings that you did, where it's like, fuck it, I'll just run across the map and suicide them.
Mm-hmm.
But does all that make sense? Yeah, does any of that confusing?
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's super helpful. And it's really, really fun the more you know about this game, because it makes it so much more enjoyable.
Oh, for sure.
So much more depth and understanding.
And one thing that's really cool too, I'm going to show you something, okay? This is really, really, really cool, really interesting. This is something that you could totally do. This is flashy, but check this out, okay? I'm going to play this game from your perspective in a second here. Like this. Take command of you. Start game. Now, watch this shit. Okay, I'm going to kill your fucking wall here just for a second, because I'm going to create a more optimal doorway.
Oh my God, I didn't know you could do this.
The what?
I didn't know you could go back into replays and play at specific times.
Oh, no, you totally can, yeah. You just have to, like, you do take command and you pick a player and then you're good to go. But watch this shit, okay? So let's say you make your roach warren. Let's say you make your Evo chamber. Like, let's get rid of this creep tumor. It's kind of fucking up the positioning. say you make your Evo chamber like off of it, you know, it's kind of a fucked up wall actually. We make it on the top side actually, because this wall is it's making it really awkward. So your Evo chamber's right there. You know, you have a roach one where you can either choose to have it flush with it right there, or you can grid spot one gap like right there, where you like go down just one. Let's say you go down one, and then you have another Evo chamber like right there where it still has connection to the wall and the roach horn. And now you've like, let's say you test it where you're like, okay, I want to make sure that if a queen is here in the doorway, I can't just get in the base. I can't just like run in the corner or some shit. And it's like, oh, yep, no, it's a flush wall. I can't get in. Again, you practice this, it's going to become super easy over time, right? It'll make more sense as you go. All right, I'm going to do something quick with your larva. I'm just going to make some zerglings really fast because I just want to have zerglings in the field. So we're oversupply. Doesn't matter what I just did. Don't worry about it. I just want to have zerglings because I want to give you an example of something that's going to blow your fucking mind. Okay, you're about to get your mind blown.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So I'm going to let the lings spawn here. Lings. Let's pretend these are your opponent's lings, okay? And they're outside the base. Now let's say your queen is right here, inside the doorway. You can test the doorway, and queen's now holding whole position. You can test the doorway by going, Evo chamber, can I build it? If the answer is yes, that is a good queen, okay? Which means you can put your Evo chamber right there.
I like that.
And now if let's say your queen dies and lings are trying to get in the base, they literally can't get in.
Ah, this is yep, this is what you're throwing in the paint.
Yeah. And now, if your queen is like too far back like this and you can't build it, obviously that's a problem, right? You're like, oh fuck, I got to move the queen forward. But if you don't test it before you do this, and now you're like, I got to move the queen forward, I fucking can't because lings are attacking me and they're in the way. You're fucked now.
You can't push them away.
So now you're gonna have to do shit like you're gonna have to build like double evos like behind it, like a new hallway, and put another queen behind it or something like that to like try to fix the problem again. Then you can try to put another one back there, but now you're like, oh fuck, now the rocks are in the way. Like it becomes a mess if you fuck it up, right? It just does not feel good. You're like, okay, this is like a fucking train wreck here. Again, you derailed the train, right? So you want to make sure the queen is flush with the wall. It's not too far forward, so you're not getting surrounded by a bunch of lings all at once like that, where like a bunch of them hitting you. You're in the middle of it, so only like one or two is hitting you at a time, not like 4 or 5.
So visually, the butt pokes out a little bit, and then that's flush with the wall.
Yeah. And you can test it by attempting to build, and if it's green along the way, you're good to go. Because again, a queen is not like the full body. Everything in this game is based off a grid spot. So like look at the ass of the queen, for instance, with the queen I'm selecting. And notice how the green circle does not encompass the entire ass. The green circle is the only thing that matters here. So now here's the thing where I'll blow your mind, okay? So you see it's flush with the wall. You're good. The queen is in the doorway. It's blocking. Lings can't get in. Or wait, sorry, I didn't have an old position. Lings can't get in. And also, you can build an Evo chamber there. Now check this out. Let's say lings are attacking you. And let's say you want to build an Evo chamber. And let's say now that you did that, you back your queen up to the Evo chamber and you build a creep tumor on yourself. And now you can push the queen through the wall. And you don't lose the queen. And now you have a wall. And now you can defend yourself with the queen.
Oh my god.
It's super easy, super good. And it creates Tetris in your advantage super hard. And now you have queens over the wall shooting, killing lings. And if, let's say, the lings start attacking that Evo, you can just be like, all right, I need to fix that. Evo chamber there, Evo chamber there. Queens are still attacking. They're killing lings all day, whatever. Obviously, this is your own shit, so it's not as easy. Yeah. But, like, queens are killing the shit. But then as soon as the lings break that, they try to get through. They can't because you built new shit behind it. Let's say they start killing the roach warren. Just build another fucking Evo chamber right there. And now they can't get through because this Evo chamber touches that Evo chamber right there. These guys touch each other right there. So, and those are already walled on the top side right there. So if these lings were to kill this roach warren, they still can't get through. Because, like, again, it's still a wall. Again, this is why Tetris is relevant here. Now, let's say they start killing the top one. Once again, you could just be like, okay, well, if I wall here, this might be a little more confusing because this is not actually a full wall because you can't fit another Evo chamber in there. It's all fucked up. So this would be the end of the line for the walls. And instead what you would do now is you would like look at this and go, okay, this is where like experience comes into play. And this you have to practice this to get better at this. But if these lings kill this Evo that they're about to kill, it creates an opening up here on the north side. And you cannot physically touch evos like we just did and also build another evo there because it's too big. We can't also build an evo there because the rocks are in the way, the ramp is in the way. And also, even if we did build an evo there, the ramp is still exposed. They can still go up here. So the optimal way now to defend this would be to put a queen right there. And the little doorway again.
In that little gap.
Yeah, because you can see if the lings kill this, they can get through, but they get stuck again on the queen. And this is all this time. So where this should be going is all of this time should be adding up to you building roaches, to you building more queens if your roaches are going to be late. You need to do something to build range units to to reduce this problem over time. But if you don't have your queen there and lings were to run that way, they could go. Actually, that is a wall. Surprisingly, that is a wall. Never mind. So there you go.
Oh, it didn't look like a wall.
Yeah, no, that's because the ramp is kind of fucked up sometimes. It's like with its positioning. Either way, you get the point, though. You just want to always think about it and be like, do not fucking allow the lings to do this. Because when they do this, this is when you're like, okay, here goes 22 drones. Gonna lose a lot of drones, and now I'm gonna get fucking derailed, right?
Yeah, it's the anxiety attack right here.
So again, it's all just building. And if you ever notice, okay, like let's say again, the roach warren's in the front, and you're like, oh fuck, he's targeting my roach warren. As soon as he starts doing that, if you're not going to be able to build roaches before the roach warren dies, start making a new one like right now, somewhere else, like in a safe spot.
Oh, that's fine to do.
Because you don't want to because the reason why you don't want to build a roach warren in the wall again, like an evo chamber for instance, is because here's a concept. A building in Starcraft 2 has a build time, right? And the way it works is, this is the way the math problem works. Buildings always start with 10% of their HP at the second they start. So if a roach warren has 850 health, it means that the second you build it like that, it's going to start with 85. That's how it starts. If an evo chamber has 750 health, the second you start an evo chamber, it's going to start with 75. Doesn't start at 0. It starts at 10% of what the building should have. And then the build time of the building now takes 90% of the total health of the building divided by 39 seconds. 90% of the health of the building for an evo chamber divided by 25 seconds. So this is important to know this shit, because if you think about that, if you're like, okay, let's get a fucking calculator out here just for a second. An evo chamber has 750 health, but 10% of that is going to be started when the building starts. So we minus 75 because 75 is 10% of 750. And now we're at 675. So now we take 675 and divide it by the build time of an evo chamber, which is 25. So now we divide by 25, which means an evo chamber builds 27 HP a second, which is a lot. If you understand how much damage a Zergling can do, 27 HP a second is difficult for a Zergling to overcome that.
Okay.
Like, that's fast. 27 is a fucking quick. It's every second. It's just like one Zergling can do 10 damage a second. So if we're building at 27 HP a second and only like 2 lings can attack it at 20 damage per second, then, because it's like tucked in the back of the wall or some shit like that, like you're going to build it pretty fucking quick, and it's going to be hard to deal with that. Also, if lings are dying all at the same time because queens are killing them, like some of the DPS is going to get killed off of it, blah, blah, blah. But now a roach warren, 850 health. Okay, so 850 health. It's what it starts. That's what the total building has. Minus 85, because 85 is 10% of 850, which is 765. But a roach warren's build time is much longer. It's 39 instead of 25. So now we have to divide this by 39, which means we're only getting 19 HP a second instead of 25 HP a second. So a roach warren is more expensive and it's more vulnerable. It builds slower, so it means that it's easier for Zerglings to overpower it. Because remember what I said, how Evo Chamber had 25 and 2 Zerglings are doing like 20 DPS a second? Yep. Well, this has 19 HP per second because of how it builds with its build time. And 2 Zerglings can do 20 DPS a second. So they can theoretically kill it faster than it builds. And 2 Zerglings on a building is very realistic, even if you build it in that like pocket Evo Chamber spot we talked about, where like you build it behind the queen.
Okay.
Yeah, like the roach warren will die. It could literally die. And it's very scary to do that. Like, it's not going to die instantly because it's still building against the damage it's taking, but it's going to build slower and it's going to be more vulnerable and it will be way harder to make it work. It's like the same thing like whenever people do shit where they're like, I'm going to build a spine in my wall. It's really bad because a spine crawler has 300 health in total and it has a build time of fucking 36. So if you think about that, 300 health in total minus 30 because 30 is 10% of 300, and then you divide 270 by 39 seconds or 36 seconds, sorry. So this divided by 36, a spine crawler builds 7.5 HP a second. Like that's fucking terrible, right? Like a spine crawler is great once it's finished, but while it's building, this will never finish. Exactly. Like 2 hits from a Zergling does more damage than it builds per second, and that means 1 Zergling could out DPS that, because 1 Zergling can attack twice per second. But now when a spine crawler is finished, it's actually really good though because number 1, it can kill Zerglings, and number 2, it has 2 armor. So buildings do not have armor when they're building; they only have armor when they're finished. So now that the spine crawler is done, it actually takes 2 damage off of the 5 of a Zergling. So it theoretically has like a 40% shield wall to a Zergling. Like it's fucking tanky once it's done. It's suddenly now that 300 health is worth the value of like 900 because it takes off a lot of the damage of a Zergling. Like a Zergling only hits it for 3 instead of 5 now. So it's huge once it's done. It's just not good when it's building. So
I didn't know spine crawlers were that weak when they were
they're
built.
fucking terrible when they're building. And
Squishy.
you just don't want to build buildings that are like the same thing with a spawning pool. You wouldn't want to do a spawning pool either. This building has, it's expensive as fuck. It's hard to build those because it's 200 minerals. It's got a 46-second build time, but it does have 1,000 HP. So again, if you had a calculator out, you do 1,000 minus 10%, which is 100, and then you would take that 900 divided by 46 to get the building per second, like the HP per second, which is again like a roach warren. It's about 19. So you would never want to be doing those either. It's always Evo Chambers, and Evo Chambers as well are the cheapest building you can make for the size that they are. It's just like the perfect Tetris building for Zerg. It's the most tanky when you need it like now while it's building. And then so ultimately that was kind of an example, and like I showed you the whole creep tumor thing where you can like even protect the queen. You can make a creep tumor on itself and it suddenly dislodges the queen across the wall when Zerglings are blocking it in front of it.
Do you shift move it as you're building the creep tumor?
No. You just if we go back to it one more time, all you do is you just move command it after you told the queen to oh, I can't do it again. But you'll see right here. Yeah, anyways, all you do is you just, tell the queen to fucking build the fucking creep tumor. Like, so Zerglings are attacking you. First thing you want to do is you want to move back to the Evo Chamber. Like, click the building, right-click the building with this queen. Tell it to go into the Evo Chamber. So it doesn't have, like, a dislodged spot where it gets stuck behind the creep tumor. It's still in this hallway. So you get flush with the fucking Evo. He chases you with his Zergling, says he's attacking you, obviously trying to kill you. And then you creep tumor yourself, which dislodges the queen from its only spot it can stand. Because the creep tumor is going to take the exact, like, it's a grid spot, and it's gonna dislodge the queen from its own grid spot. So now the queen is floating, essentially. You created a floating queen. Okay. And then when it's floating, it can't go where the Evo is, because it would have to go so far over that. It can't go where the roach where it is, because it would have to go so far over that. Yeah. And it can't go where the Zerglings are, because you can't walk over Zerglings. So it goes to the closest available spot where it is now dislodged from, which is it goes to the corner, either up or down, over the wall. And then the creep tumor as well is just going to give your Evo Chamber that you're building more time as well, because now he has to physically target fire the creep tumor, which buys your Evo Chamber time to build before it's getting attacked. Like, and again, an Evo Chamber does have armor as well. It's not 2 like a spine, but it does have 1. So when it finishes, it takes 4 damage instead of 5 from a Zergling. So you're taking that into account with the fact that it has 750 health, and now it's only taking 4 per hit, so it's even tankier than it was before. So the more HP you can finish it with, the better. Okay. So any questions about anything we just talked about?
Yeah, 2 mechanical questions and 1 wall question. So the first one is, as I'm multitasking and I'm trying to be efficient, I noticed that when I go and see the attack, I press space and it should bring me to the attack, but it brings me somewhere else. Is there another hotkey?
So I would not recommend that one, only because is someone knocking on the door? Oh, what? Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry, dude. Okay. Sorry about that. I was gonna say. Sorry, can you refresh me? I got distracted. What was the question again?
To get to the attack when it's occurring without having to click.
Oh yeah. You're talking the spacebar thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why that's not good is because spacebar is a it's like acknowledging something that just happened, and that doesn't just mean attacks. That also means if a unit completed, like if an Overlord popped out, that's something that is yeah.
I was wondering why it was doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's like, oh, my speedling upgrade just finished. Oh, my roach speed upgrade just finished. Oh, my inject just popped off. My fucking hatchery just finished over there. All of these things are like, if you hit space, anything that just finished is gonna be like, there you go. That's where you want to go, right?
Yep.
So what I would instead recommend you to do is either just physically like look at it with your mouse on the minimap or drag down or something like that, or get used to using camera hotkeys and literally bind one to your natural. And if you want to know how to use camera hotkeys, in my beta GM video, I believe on 2020, I think it might have been 2019 and 2021, I did camera hotkeys around Gold League. So I can even link you a video.
For fights.
Fights?
When they occur, do you use camera hotkeys for fights?
Yeah.
Occur in like the middle of the map?
No. So no. What I would do then is a lot of times what I'll do is I'll control group my army. So let's say your roaches are 1, okay? You can just double tap 1/1 and it goes to the army.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Okay.
Yeah, so I do 100% though. I do camera hotkeys for my main, my natural, and my third base for base defense. And I was teaching people camera hotkeys in Gold League of Beta GM because I feel like it is relevant. It's a nice tool to like familiarize yourself with because of exactly what you're saying right now. Like there is no real good effective way to move your camera around the map unless you use camera hotkeys. Otherwise, it's just fucking a mess. Essentially, you're playing like a sloppy ass mess.
Got it. And for Overlord placement above pillars, I end up always just dying.
I got a tip for I already
line up that.
I know what you're saying already. You want a beautiful answer for it?
Yes.
I got you. It's whenever you see a pillar, like this map does not have a pillar on the base, but like that's a pillar right there. That is totally a pillar. So what you want to do not ever put the Overlord itself over the pillar. Okay? That is the mistake everybody makes when they don't know what this trick is. The Overlord is not actually right there. It is actually right there where the circle on the ground is. Because nothing, even though this game looks like it has a Z-axis where things can fly, it actually does not have a Z-axis. Everything in this game is latched to the ground. It's just some units some units have like a bypass where they can fly over terrain, which allows their ground target to circumvent ground terrain, which is a flying unit. But it is still bound to the ground though. And a really cool. Is this the last question? Because I think I gotta go after this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But I'm gonna give you a really good like holy fuck moment in terms of this also will probably be insightful to your micro in the future. Okay, but watch this. Okay, you're gonna be again. I'm blow your fucking mind right now. But.
David, blame my ass.
Everything again is bound to the Y and X axis. Nothing is bound to the Z axis, and this is. I'll show you right now what that exactly means. But watch this. Where's the upgrades thing? Right there. Okay. Now watch this shit. So the Overlord is right there, right? You would think if I have a Templar that wants to cast Psionic Storm, that I could storm the Overlord right there, right? I could storm it right there. My target is on the Overlord. If I storm it, it must die, right? It must get hit by it. But it's taking 0 damage. And that's because it's not there. It's actually...
Because there's no Z-axis.
And now watch this. Yeah, I'm gonna make it look like it's not gonna hit the Overlord, but it's going to hit the Overlord. You ready for this? If I cast a storm right there, it hits the Overlord. Because it's actually on the ground where the circle is. So if I cast it there again, it'll hit the Overlord again. And it hits the Overlord again. So when you have a cliff that you're trying to maneuver your Overlord on, and a cliff is there a terrain with a cliff in this fucking thing? A choke, ramp, corridor, pass. I don't know. I don't think this one has one. Corridor? Fuck. I don't know if this map has a cliff though. Sorry. But here, this is fine. This is fine. Watch this. This kind of works. I'm gonna make a blue marine here. And then start, and then I'm gonna bring the marine down here, and now you'll kind of get what I mean, right? Like,
okay,
so like the Overlord. Okay, this map doesn't work. I have like full vision. It's a custom game, so sorry.
Okay, I was wondering.
Anyways, the point I was trying to make was the circle on the ground. Like if this was a cliff here, if this little circle was a cliff, and you put your Overlord like right there, and you're like, all right, my Overlord's clearly over the cliff. It's really not because it's actually right there. So what you want to do is you want to make sure your circle on the ground goes into the cliff like that, and now the Overlord is over the cliff. Even if the cliff were to end right there, and it looks like your Overlord is like, its ass is like way over there, right? It still actually is over the cliff.
I know you are in a coaching session, but thanks for 36.
Gino, I fucking love you, man. I appreciate you. Sorry, I'll play that again in a second. But that, yeah, this. So again, it's all off the circle. Just look at the circle, and that's how you know you're as long as the circle is within the confines of the cliff, you're good. And then just hold position it. It's that even if you just got like shot, like a lot of times you'll get shot like this, where as you're moving in, it'll fucking like get shot at. But if you don't tell it to hold position right as it gets there, it might be do that shit where it moves itself again like that away from it, and you're like, fuck, now it's not there. Now another marine shoots you on the other side, and you're like, damn it, this Overlord just won't do it. So if you just get to where you want to go, hold position, the marine will stop shooting it, and you will be fine. Because it takes like, there's like a 0.5 second fade out where like a unit gets to where it wants to go over like a blind spot, and if it stays there for like half a second, it actually like disappears out of existence. But if you don't do that and the marine shoots it like right as it's in that like phase out section but the Overlord is also told to stop, it will maybe move the Overlord again because you don't tell it to hold position, and you're like, now it's suddenly, oh fuck, it moved again, now it's out of it again. So hold position right over like when the circle is over a cliffside, and it's very obvious when you're doing it. And then is that the last question?
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I
really appreciate it.
Of course, man. I'm gonna definitely upload this to YouTube. Okay, that's definitely gonna happen. This VOD is not corrupt at all. It's good, not like last time. So sorry about last time, but I'll have it uploaded by probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday, and then
no rush.
And then after that, I know that YouTube has a lot more shit that's available with downloading, like YouTube VODs. If anyone in chat actually right now, either in YouTube comments or in my stream right now, has a recommendation for a like a software thing you can not download necessarily, but like you can use to like download a YouTube video straight up, so you can watch it offline. If anyone has that recommendation, feel free to please put it in chat or in the comment section. But if you find something you want to use, that's fine. But if we don't find something, we'll pursue other avenues to like try to get you the VOD for sure. Because obviously I want you to have the VOD.
Good. Thank you, and thanks for blowing my mind.
Yeah, man.
Said the tumor walk was absolutely mind blowing.
Dude, yeah, no, that's the key right there. Like if that whole Zerg vs Zerg game you just played, if you just get the wall up and you have roaches behind it and you understand like everything we talked about, where it's like once you have this, it's so much easier, and you'll see it too. Like once you start doing that a few times and people all in you like that, you'll be like, wow, my roaches are so fucking efficient. This is crazy. Those will make your like ZvZ build feel just way more powerful. It's all about how to set it up, and once you get to like that setup to where like you're fully saturated on 2 bases, you're making roaches, you're setting up your 3rd now, that's when you become really fucking strong, because you're in their phase where now you could literally just make mass roaches if you want to. And if your opponent's making like low eco Zerglings that just have speed and that's it, and you have +1 speed roaches, you will fucking decimate players like that, no problem. All right, dude. Well, I will call it there. I appreciate you very much, dude, doing another lesson. And yeah, like I said, I'll try to get this to you within a day or two. I'll message you specifically on Discord with the link to it and stuff.
Perfect. Thank you and happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, happy holidays, dude, and have a good rest of your day. Much love, man.
You too.
All right,
Much love. Bye-bye.
see you, man.